Thanks to the support as a channel member, Ben Pennells. No, I agree. It's been a fantastic season. We've had a European run. We've already got second place in the league secured. If today goes well, we'll have enough points to have won the league the last two seasons. It's just this Olympiacos problem has the potential to be a little bit of a problem. Hello and welcome to part 34 of the Greek Odyssey. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we're away against both ODYSSEY and PAOK in our final two league games of the season. Since you were last with me, we've played through most of the championship group. As you can see, it hasn't gone quite as well as it did last year, including double defeats against Olympiacos, which leaves the league table looking like this. Olympiacos, 18 points clear? No, 28 points clear. That can't be right. They're well clear. What I want to point out, though, is that in previous years, last year they won the league with 72 points. The year before they won the league with 74 points. We've got 68 points with 2 games left. If we win both of these games, we'll end up on 74 points, which would have been enough to win the league the last 2 years. The only problem is Olympiacos obviously taking things up to another level because they're a couple of years ahead of us in their road to glory. Because if we have a look at their competition history, we know domestic leagues, they're winning everything. It's the Champions League that's the relevant one. So you can see that going back 4 years ago, they were the ones getting knocked out in the best placed second qualifying round, like we did this season just gone. They then went one better the year after, getting knocked out in the playoffs, and then the year after finishing bottom of their group. This year just gone, they actually made it through to the first knockout round of the Champions League. So Olympiacos getting better all the time and 3 years ahead of us on the schedule, which means they're able to go out and spend £25 million over the course of the summer on players, which is why they're now stretching out that far ahead of us at the top of the league because they're playing on a different level to everybody else. If we have a look at the team detailed stats, just to give you an idea, I haven't looked at these, so I might be about to prove the wrong point. So they've not got the highest attendances, but transfer spend, we're second on net transfer spend behind them, with a net transfer spend of £500,000. That says a lot right there. Salaries, they're spending £23 million a year. We're spending £5 million a year. They're on a different level, an absolutely different level to us, and it is going to take some catching up. Which at least we're in the Champions League again next year. I'm not sure what coefficient changes might have happened that could potentially allow us to skip a qualifying round, but we'll see. The important thing is, let's get those 74 points. Let's win these last 2 games. Let's go and win the Greek Cup tomorrow, and let's focus in on catching Olympiacos, because if they win the Champions League before me, I'll be very upset. Very, very upset. So this is the team for the game against ODYSSEY. We've got Brunoli in goal, a back four of Giannoutzos, Kios, Lawson and Kalapitas. Labru at the base of the midfield with Duffy and Slattery ahead of him. Dura and Emanuelidis supporting Damien up front. I think we mentioned in the last episode that Marola's going to be on loan with us next season. He's still our top scorer at the moment as well, so there's probably an argument for playing him ahead of Damien today. Damien hasn't been quite the same player that he was last season when he was here, and we've tried with both Damien and Duffy to get them back on loan for next year, and Southampton have declined both of them because they're both going to be given a chance in the first team. Same situation with Slattery, so all 3 of our Southampton loanees are playing their final games for the club. If it wasn't for the fact we had the cup final, they'd all be out of contention at this point because we've already secured second place. We'd be very much building next season's team, but with the cup final approaching and having Jura's in here, just shoot. The keeper was well out of position. Why does he not have a shot when he first gets the ball there? That's ridiculous. Damien comes away with the ball, but that feels like an opportunity lost there, very much so. But yeah, as I was saying, we've never won a trophy, so I feel like it's quite important that we go and win the Greek Cup. So because of that, we want to keep this team in form, or I say keep it in form, get it back in form, because we're playing Olympiacos in back-to-back games and losing them both. We're not in the best of form at the moment, so we need to kind of recapture that form, or else the cup final is going to be a bit of a miserable affair. It's a total contrast to our Champions Group last year, where we just absolutely stormed it. This year, we're we're not having a very nice time. We're not having a very nice time. So I think we've only won 3 games in the Championship group. It would be nice to make it to 5 with a couple of results in this episode. Offie way down in 6th place, 10 points behind Panathinaikos, who have already secured the last Europa League qualification spot. So this is a team we should comfortably be able to beat. And it isn't looking comfortable yet, but there is Ryan Lawson, another one who is in on loan with us next year. And, he's another example of a player who we would like to keep bringing back until we get to the point where we can spend the kind of money Olympiacos have just spent and bring him back permanently. We sold him because we had to. If we can get into the Champions League group, Olympiacos have shown the difference that makes to the finances. We wouldn't have had to have sold him if we'd have made it through to the groups 3 years earlier, which is obviously a big if. We were down in Super League 2 at that point. But it is relevant to Lebrou, who is still getting watched by Frank Lampard constantly. I think he now has a holiday apartment here in Athens. I don't know if he even wants to sign him. I think it's all a ruse so he can keep flying back and forth to Greece. But with Lebrou, he has tentatively agreed terms on a new contract that removes his minimum fee release clause and ties him down for 5 years. So he's agreed. It's one of those where he's agreed terms but hasn't actually signed the contract yet. But we could potentially find ourselves in a situation where we don't have to sell him, in which case it then becomes a decision based on whether or not we get into that Champions League group stage. We're giving a rare opportunity for youngster Paniolis, who's definitely going to be part of the front 3 rotation next year. With Damien not here, expect to see more of Paniolis as part of that 3. So we're at least trying out some of the youngsters. But I think my plan, we are going to take him off and just bring Androutsos in at the base of the midfield. I think my thinking is hold fire on selling Lebrou, assuming he signs his contract, hold fire on selling him until we've got through the Champions League qualifiers. Because and it's probably still quite unlikely, but if we do make it through to the group stages of the Champions League, there's absolutely no financial incentive to sell him. We'll actually make more money from being in the Champions League than we would from selling him for 10 million quid. Whereas if we end up in the Europa League again, maybe there is more of a reason to sell him. Well, there goes continuing to play Damien. Possibly a blessing in disguise. It gets Marola back in the team, who is going to be here next year. But that's one of the 2 wins we needed, or wanted. I guess we didn't really need them. One more, and we then have enough points to have won the league the last couple of seasons, and more importantly, would have turned our form around going into that cup final. We're currently 3rd on form. PAOK, who we play in the cup final and play next, are 5th. So this game against them now is mega important, because if we can beat them, it puts a nice little marker down for the cup final. But we've now lost Lawson and Damien, arguably our 2 best players. So 2 changes for the PAOK game then, and they're the 2 that you would expect from what we've just seen. Smyrnis coming in at the back to replace Lawson, and Marola coming straight in up front to replace Damien. So this is, in fact, it's not a team that's going to be here next year, because neither Duffy or Slattery will be. Put Singh and Androutsos in there, and a new left back, because Giannoutzos has got to move on. He's out of contract, and I don't plan on giving him a new one. We've got to upgrade our left back. Why am I holding Smyrnis? Get off. I don't know where I've put him. We need to check the formation before we start the game to make sure I've not moved him somewhere dumb. No, excellent. He is in the right place. But this is getting closer to the team that's going to be here for next season. Olympiacos on 100 points now. Utterly ridiculous. I hope it's just a freak season for them and it's not a sign of things to come. They've won almost every game. And now we're losing against PAOK after less than 2 minutes. It's not going to plan. Oh, if you'd have offered me second place again, I'd have taken it. If you'd have offered me the Greek Cup final, I'd have taken it. Let's not mess it up at this point, though. We need momentum, not just for the Cup final, but also to take into those Champions League qualifiers as well and try and do a little bit better than we did last time around. The big difference this summer is going to be that we've already got our team just about ready. We're not going to be going in with a bunch of reserve players while we're still trying to grab people in and get them on contracts. Almost everybody starting today, apart from the 2 midfielders, and we've got the replacements to come in for them, but there's going to be no playing randomers like we had last year. And hopefully we get a couple more players in before the deadline for the Champions League as well. And we'll be in a much stronger position to to actually have a crack at qualifying for it this time around. And as long as we and Olympiacos continue to perform well in Europe as well, a time will come where our coefficient will improve, and we might not need to go through as much qualifying, even if we haven't quite managed to start winning the league regularly here yet. I'm not sure if that's going to be this summer, but obviously with Olympiacos getting through to the knockout rounds in the Champions League, us getting through to the knockout rounds in the Europa League, it's definitely been one of the best seasons ever for Greek football in European competition. So I'd like to think that's going to bump the coefficient up a little bit, but I know these things take time, and doing it for just one season probably isn't enough to get the job done. But it is the second year in a row that Olympiacos have made it through to the group stages. So sooner or later, you've got to start just letting them straight in as champions and bumping us up straight into the playoffs, maybe. That would be nice. Right, let's grab an equaliser in this game, shall we? We've got to play this lot again in a week. We need to look like we've got a chance of beating them. Although we will obviously have Lawson back for that, but no Damien. We've probably seen Damien play for the last time. Slattery, ball over the top. Marola's in, and Marola scores. Who needs Damien? We've got Marola with his 22nd goal of the season. It's a lovely finish, and this is the man we're going to build our attack around. He's here on loan next year. He's out of contract with Milan next year as well, so we will be very much sticking a contract in front of him on the 1st of January, trying to tie him down to a transfer to us, similar to what we did with Jura this year. And these are the kind of players you wouldn't expect us to be able to attract to Apollon, but we are, and that's awesome. Paniolis can come on. If I can turn him into a winger, there we go. He can come on again like he did in the last game. Labrou's not having the best of times. We're going to leave him on for now. We're going to bring Gouras on for Giannoutsos, put Kalapitas over to left back, and let's have 10 minutes of passion as we go and try and win the game. Because, of course, winning the game gives us that little psychological boost of 74 points is enough to win the league the last 2 years. 72 points won the league last year, which is what we're already on as it stands. What a save from Brunoli. Sometimes I go an episode or two without mentioning how great that goalkeeper was. We've made some signings in this save. It's going to take a lot to top him, because bringing him in when we did, he was so much better than anyone else we had at the club, and he is still one of our best players now. Kalapitas with the throw, and Marola's there again. Is he onside? I don't think he is. It was Paniolis with the little flick, and Marola had strayed offside, as so often happens with these long throws. We'll have another look at it, but it's he's well offside. But we're getting close. We're looking more likely than them to score at the moment. Emanuelidis can come on. Androutsos can come on for him. Androutsos, who has been learning to play right wing. He's been playing there quite a lot for the under-23s. He's been playing a few games for us out on the right wing as well, just to add another string to his bow. Obviously, without Slattery and Duffy, I would expect him to be straight back in central midfield next year, but it's nice for him to be able to fill in the front three as well, because he is a very attacking player. I guess I'd take a draw. You've done brilliantly. There you go. Pats on the head all round, and hopefully we go one better against them in the cup final, which will be a premiere tomorrow. Be interesting to see how many people can turn up to a premiere at 11 o'clock on a weekday. And Lampard's in again. All right, Frank. Yeah, get you running up some air miles. Did Chelsea not play anymore? When did Chelsea play? Chelsea played yesterday, and you flew over to Greece to watch us play today. You're a weird man, Frank. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.